All right, one of the absolute best riffs of modern rock at that point is the Rolling Stones' I Can't Get No Satisfaction. This is Dylan Lang here with a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. Actually, two brand new episodes of Dylan Knows this week. For those who watched me last week will remember I made the statement that the last 2 weeks I was doing the show, I was doing a regular show, and then due to the COVID-19 quarantine jazz that's going on right now, YouTube has lessened their bandwidth, I guess, to spread it out more because everybody is now online more, doing more stuff. YouTube's on, people watching more YouTube and streaming. So everything's all sort of boggled up. So they've had to lessen the bandwidth on everybody. So I was noticing that about an hour into my show, I started getting these messages saying that we're having trouble with your connection. And then when I'd go back to replay the videos, it'd be like, sort of like that. So it would be all herky jerky and messed up like that. So what I talked about last week, since it happened 2 weeks in a row, is like what I probably end up doing now is to lessen it by having two episodes of a week for the show until the bandwidth is back on top of things. So what we're doing instead is we're going to do two shorter episodes. I'm looking probably at the 45-minute mark before we stop. I got a lot of stuff to go through, but we'll see where we are when the 45-minute part comes up, and I'll see if I can go a little further. So that's where we're going. That's what we're doing. So we'll do two episodes a week. Some will be back to back like tonight's. Some will be, I might do one Friday, one Saturday, maybe we'll do one Saturday, one Sunday, maybe one do in the afternoon, one in the evening, that type of stuff. So we got all kinds of stuff going on. So this week's episode, part one, I guess, episode 345 is One World Together at Home. I figured I'd throw that in there because that's what's going on right now on TV. A lot of musicians, stuff like that, are doing at home live broadcasts that people will be able to watch. I think they just showed the Rolling Stones, hence the Satisfaction theme. I thought it'd be kind of cool. So what do I got going today? I've got a brand new In Dreams, but this is more along the lines of the In Dreams. I'm remembering it a bit more, so I'm actually going to probably turn it into a story. Not that I have the rights to do it, but I figured I would just flex my writing muscles and get that out of my head. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about, hey, look, stupid people. An insane addition today because it's as if the stupid has strengthened amongst many, many people, including Florida. The whole state of Florida is now considered Florida man, Florida woman, Florida state. And I got a bunch of texts coming through from my sister and stuff like that. So just bear with me with that. So just all kinds of craziness online. We're going to talk about creators for comics auctions, which I thought are kind of cool. We're going to talk about all the death that happened this week. We're going to talk about something that hasn't happened in 50 years. Is unfortunately happened. We are going to talk a little bit about sex. We're going to talk about some comic book stuff. Fiona Apple is coming back with a vengeance. COVID-19 conspiracy theories. Some brand new stuff coming out on HBO Max. What else do we got? Some scientists have discovered some interesting things. Animals that haven't been seen for a while are starting to pop up again due to less people. Netflix is all over the news this week as well. And there's a bunch more that I'll probably hit later on because I got a lot of stuff. Some interesting supernatural stuff, but that might last to the second one. Man, I got a lot to do today. So let's see if I can blow through all this stuff real quick. So here we go. 4 minutes and 35 seconds in. Here we go. Excuse me. First up, I'll hit some of this smaller stuff, and then about halfway through the episode, I'll talk about my idea. Someone hacked a Zoom meeting, which is the new thing now in coronavirus quarantine now. Zoom meetings, so people who can work from home can actually see each other and get meetings and stuff done. But someone hacked one of these Zoom meetings, locked the user's screens so they could not escape, and played porn. So here you are, you got like, you're doing a business meeting or whatever. You've got like 12 people on the Zoom call. All of a sudden you realize you can't escape the Zoom call because you're locked in, and someone is playing hardcore pornography, pretty loudly on your screen, so you can't miss it. So while that's not cool, it's actually, it's interesting, but it's not cool, obviously. But still, I thought that's kind of interesting, that someone could actually pull that off and do that. Going from the bad to the good, a man in Turkey, the country, Turkey, Turkish man, I should say, dressed as Spider-Man, delivers groceries and utility and items that people need to his neighbors. So he wears a full Spider-Man costume. He gets items that his neighbors need, and he delivers them as Spider-Man. So he's keeping his social distancing because he's got his mask on, but he's also being a hero, which is what Spider-Man is as well. So I think that's kind of cool as well. In the comic book aspect, for the first time in 50 years, the San Diego Comic-Con has been canceled. It is not going to be redone this year, though, as I said, first time in 50 years this has happened. But what's interesting about the con, though, is the good thing about it is the people who were running the con have decided, that sounds terrible, the convention, the people who are running the convention are saying that you have two options for those people who've already bought tickets or have already bought, tables for displays and stuff like that. You got two options. One, you can ask for a refund. We'll give you your refund right away. There you go. Your money back. Boom. Done. Over. You're good. Maybe see you next year. Or, which I think is a smart idea, is you can roll over your stuff to next year. So those of you who bought tickets to San Diego, and you all know how hard it is to get those, you can roll over your tickets next year, so you don't have to worry about getting tickets next year because you already got them. I think that's the smartest thing to do, though some people might be thinking, well, I could only go this year. I can't go next year, so I want my money back. And that's going to happen probably. But I think it's a great idea that they are offering these two. Would you shut up? God. I think it's a good idea that they are giving both options. And that way, those who want to go to the con next year will be able to go. Because they will already have their tickets sold, and people who already have tables and stuff like that displayed, they'll be able to go. But if they can't go for whatever reason, they can get their money back. So I think that's great. Now, that's from San Diego. I don't know how it works with the hotels, and I don't know how it works with airfare. So that might still be an issue for both, to be honest, because, even though you're not going to San Diego this year, but you have the tickets for next year, are the airlines going to refund your money? Is the hotel going to refund your money, or are they going to keep that? I don't know. That is something that we'll have to discuss down the line. Whatever. Can I even shut this off? I don't think I can. Yeah, there we go. I think it's going to matter because as soon as see, it came back on. So let me see if I can cover this up so it doesn't make it such an annoying sound. There we go. Let's see how that works. All right. So that's good, and well, it's a shame, but it's the safest thing to do right now. I mean, sure, the COVID-19 might be on the way out by July, but you don't want to have, because the big issue now is that, if people start seeing a decline in the COVID-19 stuff, they're going to think, okay, we're through this, and they're going to go right back out, and they're going to do the stuff, that they want to do. They no longer do social distancing, and they're going to talk to people and they're going to get infected again, and we're going to have a secondary rise, which is going to cause even more issues. So we're going to have to go all through this again if this is what happens. So that's why I weep for this country, because we have absolutely no leadership from the federal government. Not even the Democratic, senators and representatives who should be calling out the president on this stuff that he's doing that's hurting us. They're not doing their job. So it's all screwed up. And with places already open up, Florida opened as I said, Florida opened up their beaches, which is terrible. Um, South Carolina is going to open up their beaches and their retail shops next week. Other places are thinking of opening stuff up early as well, and I think that's ridiculous. It's a terrible idea. Luckily, Maryland is not following those complete morons. They are making school now. Was the last day of homeschooling was supposed to be April 24th. It is now May 15th. And so they'll keep an eye on that again. They can always change it up again if they need to. I think that's a good idea to do it. Maybe give kids hope that something could come up. Plus, they're talking about doing some maybe summer schooling stuff to get kids to transition better. If things seem to mellow out a little bit during the summer, they'll be able to maybe get back into their learning and cover what they missed during these times during COVID-19. So we have that as well. So we got that all going on. Now, segueing to that, we have Stupid People, pretty much government edition. Kellyanne Conway, who I absolutely despise, said, well, this isn't like COVID-1, this is COVID-19. So we should have all this, in the bag and know how to run this stuff. COVID-19 is the year that it was discovered. In 2019, there was no COVID-1, there's no COVID-2, no COVID-7, no COVID-18, you dumb bitch. So, you stupid cow, freaking moron. Here's a couple of other morons who dare to use the name doctor. Dr. Oz said, a 2% to 3% child fatality deaths are okay. So let's reopen the schools. It's not a big deal. If we have 2% or 3% of children dying, but all the other kids get a chance to go back to school, it's not that big of a deal. Shut the fuck up, you stupid motherfucker. It's after 10 o'clock, so I can say that shit. I'm getting sick of all that stuff, too. Dr. Phil, who is, by the way, a psychologist, but he no longer practices because he got in trouble for doing some illegal stuff he shouldn't have done in the first place. Dr. Phil says, well, we don't close down when there's auto accidents or smoking deaths or swimming pool deaths. So why should we close down for some COVID-19 deaths? Because swimming pool deaths are not contagious, you ignorant fuck. Same with, auto accidents and smoking deaths. Now, smoking deaths, that might be the closest thing where you might get some secondhand smoke, but fuck you. You fucking moron. Stupid ass, douchebag, dickhead. Laura Ingraham, we don't have a vaccine for SARS or HIV, but yet life goes on. So why should we have to wait for a vaccine for COVID-19 before life goes on? Well, because HIV, isn't transmitted that way. So, there's ways around that. And SARS has disappeared, so there's no reason for that, you stupid bitch. Pastor Tony Spall, people should donate their stimulus checks to church. Preferably my church, is what he's saying. No, you dumbass. The stimulus checks are to help pay bills. Now, everybody's thinking, oh, it's going to be used to buy stuff buy stuff from retail and groceries to help build up the economy. No, people are using it probably to pay their bills because you all are a bunch of stupid, dumb motherfuckers. Sorry, I'm just losing my mind about all this bullshit. There's so much more that I'm so pissed about right now that it is. And then all these ignorant, stupid morons who are protesting in various states, gathering together in groups without masks, are going to cause things to get even worse and worse. And then wait till we get to the conspiracy thought. I'm going to lose my fucking mind. God, I'm angry today, aren't I? Whew. Anyway, let's get into a more solemn. Well, actually, let's have the solemn stuff first. Let's do something good before we get into the bad to cleanse the palate of that bullshit I just talked about. Good thing I said this isn't for kids, man. I'm way going crazy today. See, I just had a thought, what's going to happen is I'm not going to have any bandwidth issues today. So dividing the show up into two sections is going to be stupid. So maybe I'll play along with that and we'll see what happens. Creators for comics auctions. This is something that is outstanding. It started a couple days ago, and I follow a lot of these artists and people on Twitter and Facebook, and they've been posting all the stuff that they are signing and giving away. Well, not giving away, but you can bid on. And the money's going to go to a fund to help comic stores recover from this, pay their rent and back, electricity and all the stuff they need to do. This is all to help the comic book stores. So I think it's one website that you can go to, but all these artists and writers and editors and stuff like that are, releasing signed stuff, new drawings by artists. Some people are like Gail Simone, for a good example. She was a consultant on the Birds of Prey movie. She has a bunch of Birds of Prey apparel from that movie she's giving away. She also was friends with, so Gail and her came up with the idea of a bid for 4 lessons online, obviously, from this woman who played Mulan on how to do self-defense, which I think is a really cool idea. Like lots of signed books, lots of trade paperbacks of their work, artists signing their artwork and stuff like that. It's been an amazing outpouring. Hell, even Chip Zdarsky, who's absolutely insane, he said, "I will write an erotic story about you, the winner of the auction, and I will also read it to you in a very slow and sexual way." And I think that's freaking hilarious also. And it's fantastic. So, just go onto Twitter and just type in creators for comics. It's a hashtag, creators for comics, and you can see all the auctions. I think they're going on through Sunday, I think. So people are doing more than one. Like Gail Simone's done at least 5 different lots, I think, and other people, Tom Taylor has done 3 or 4, which is actually really funny because there's a joke about him and Tom King, who are both writers, and they look alike, except Tom Taylor is Australian, but they look similar. But they've played it off because people mistake them for each other. So on April Fool's Day, they made their Twitter accounts look the same, and you couldn't tell who was one, who was the other, who was doing the truth or whatever. But now Tom Taylor he signed a bunch of Tom King's books and claimed that they were his. So I think that's really funny as another little in-joke thing as well. So that's kind of good stuff. So Creators for Comics is a good thing. It's up there with the One World Together at Home, the stuff that we're talking about right now. They're doing musical numbers live on TV. I watched a Orioles game on like Orioles rerun from 2009, and the people who are hosting that had to offer money to the Maryland Food Bank, and you can make it a donation, stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff like that going around. But the Creators for Comics auctions are really kind of the coolest stuff. So if you have some money laid aside and you want to help your comic creator, comic stores and stuff like that, help them out and buy some of this really cool stuff. There's another one that I think it's Kelly Sue DeConnick, Matt Fraction, who's her husband, Brian Michael Bendis, who are all in Oregon and they all live near each other. They will do a Zoom dinner with you where they will have dinner with you through Zoom live. So there's some other stuff like that that's kind of cool. So absolutely check that out. These are people who've been affected by COVID-19 but are not dead. Rams player, Los Angeles Rams football player Brian Allen is the first NFL player to have COVID-19. And right after he announced that, Denver Broncos former defensive person Von Miller has COVID-19 as well. George Stephanopoulos has COVID-19 as well. He is a Washington news reporter type thing. And then right before I came on the show, Waitress star Nick Cordero is going to have his leg amputated due to COVID-19 complications, which is a shame. Also, that's pretty rough on that. So there's a lot of bad stuff going on around there. Uh, so death, a big name death that died this week. Brian Dennehy, a actor who's been in a number of movies, including the first Rambo movie, First Blood, the FX series, was in Cocoon. Um, you would recognize him in a second if you saw him. He's been in a ton of movies. He passed away at the age of 81, I believe, this week. Steve Cash, this is a sad story, was a YouTube sensation. His creation was the talking kitty cat. He was able to manipulate video to make it look like that his cats were cursing or talking to him, like having conversations. And the funniest video is of his cat Sylvester just cursing wildly. Let's see if I can dig that up real quick. But Steve Cash, the creator of that one, um, is unfortunately committed suicide this week. He had been suffering from depression. He was bipolar. His mother had also committed suicide a couple years earlier. So it's kind of upsetting. But yeah, that's not that one. That's one of them, but not the one I want. I hope they didn't delete it. I hope they didn't delete it, because that's the one I love the most. Doggone, I think it's gone. Oh wait, no. Doggone, I think it's gone. No. Photo, dog make fun of cat, mosh pit, candle, champion talking kitty cats. Oh, it's not there. Oh, that sucks. I need to find that one again. Hopefully I will. I will show you this one though. So. Do you hate me? What do you say if you want wet food? Now. No, you don't say now, Sylvester. What do you say if you want wet food? Thank you. Jeez, what's going on? Your wet food? It's because you hate it, Sylvester. Do I look like your slave? I'm not. Yeah. See, that's Sylvester, and that's Steve Cash, who unfortunately passed away. I gotta find the cursing one, which is hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious. So I guess either they deleted it, or maybe when his channel, they shut his channel down, because I got that from his channel. So that's a shame. So Steve Cash passed away. He was the creator of the Sylvester the talking cat. Sad. He was 40 years old. Is that Benny Adkins, Medal of Honor recipient, died of COVID-19. Office, the TV show Office, about the Office actor Ranjit Chowdhury died at age 65. Gene Ditch, a cartoon movement head of the UPI New York and Terry Toons, died at 95. He worked on Tom and Jerry cartoons. Paul Haddad was a Resident Evil's to the movie Resident Evil 2's Leon Kennedy, died at the age of 56 this week. Jamaican bobsledder Sam Clayton Jr., who was the inspiration for Cool Runnings, died of COVID-19. 90-year-old Holocaust survivor died of COVID-19 this week. Alan Davies, Davio, a cinematographer of E.T. and other Spielberg movies, dead of COVID-19 this week. Harold Finkel, Hall of Fame WWE announcer, dead at the age of 69. Lee Kantz, a jazz saxophonist, died at the age of 92 this week. Punk rocker Jimmy Webb died at the age of 62 this week. Yankees co-owner Hank Steinbrenner passed away at the age of 63 this week. Star Fox 64 voice actor Rick May died of COVID-19. Danny Goldman, who was an actor in Young Frankenstein, was also the voice of Brainy Smurf in the Smurf cartoons, died at the age of 80. Jacqueline Tawes, mother of NBA star Karl Anthony Tawes, died of COVID-19. Tavares Jackson, NFL quarterback, died in a car accident. He was a quarterback in the 90s for the most part, early 2000s. You might have even seen a little bit of him. I think maybe closer to early 2000s because he was kind of recent. And a U.S. sailor from the naval boat that had a bunch of people infected by it, he died of COVID-19 as well. So unfortunately, that's our death toll for this week of famous-esque people. So so we got that going on. So now we're going to flip a little bit to some other stuff as well. We talked about people having sex with animals, having sex with cars, but now this is a new one, having a sex act with a shrubbery. What would the Knights Who Say Ni say about that? Alicia Silverstone wants to have another shot at playing Batgirl, and I have to say, hell no, ain't gonna happen. Diamond Comics expects to start up distribution again in mid-May of their comics. And right after they announced that, DC Comics says they will be distributing print comics as soon as April 28th through 2 new distributors that they're going to use until Diamond comes through. And then we'll see if those 2 distributors stick around. So maybe Diamond is going to have a little bit more competition now. We'll see how that all plays out. But DC right now is the only company who is going to be using 2 distributors. And I don't know how smart that is, because a lot of the comic stores that are in the area, or particularly in this area, we're still going to be on shutdown by April 28th, I'm sure. What's going to happen with those books? How are they going to open up the store? Stuff like that. So I don't know if this was the smartest thing in the world to do. I mean, you always want to look for, I guess, other distributors, because people have been complaining for years about Diamond being a monopoly, and I've worked for Diamond. So I can't really make any statements because I have no issue with Diamond being a monopoly, because they employed me for 5 years. So I really can't say anything. So I'm going to take my name out of the hat on this one. But there we are. Fiona Apple, who is having a massive comeback now. She had a late 90s hit with Criminal, I believe was the song. And she was always kind of this breathy, sort of emaciated singer. Criminal's a good song, but it's not my favorite, and I didn't like the rest of her album. And then she just sort of disappeared for a while. She did a couple albums. I think she did some concerts and disappeared. And then all of a sudden, COVID-19 happens, and she releases this brand new album, and everybody in the world is in love with it. Now, that's, that it happens. It's not like unusual for stuff like that to happen. It just seems rather odd that maybe people are just grasping at whatever they can to have something to talk about, something new to hear. But from what I've heard from a lot of different people, it is actually really good. I listened to the one popular song off of it. I wasn't a fan of it. She's not my style, but hey, if you guys are up for it, yeah, go for it, man. J.J. Abrams is producing some stuff for HBO Max. He'll be producing a Justice League Dark TV show, which is a really good idea, and also a prequel to The Shining, which we will see about. But those both will be starting there. He's got the okay to do it on HBO Max, so we'll probably won't see them till probably at the earliest next year, since who knows when all this stuff is going to be able to recover. So we'll see about that. PETA suggests that Thor goes vegan to lose the weight that he gained in Avengers Endgame for Thor Love and Thunder. So not Chris Hemsworth to go vegan, but they suggest that Thor should announce he's going vegan and then get back to his strong, healthy, masculine self. Thor, not Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor. Speaking of Marvel, some more news from Marvel, the MCU. Hugh Jackman said that he would have played Wolverine in an MCU movie if Disney had bought Fox sooner than they did. Now he feels he's too old to play the role, and actually, honestly, he does not really want to play the role, despite what Ryan Reynolds keeps trying to force him to do, and also Mark Ruffalo is trying to force him to do. But I don't honestly think you're going to be able to get him to ever become Wolverine again, which is a shame, but what are you going to do? Captain Marvel 2, which I said a couple weeks ago, surprisingly announced for 2022, will be rumored to be setting up the new Avengers movie and the new Avengers team. So that's good. And that's to all those, I got to go a little quick, to all those assholes who always write stories about how horrible Captain Marvel is and how horrible Brie Larson is. F you, you stupid mother effers, because Captain Marvel 2 is going to set up the new Avengers, you stupid idiot, and you failed, you dumbass idiot motherfuckers. Man, I'm saucy tonight. Sam Raimi was rumored to be directing Doctor Strange, and he dropped this message: I will be directing Doctor Strange 2. So he has been hired to direct Doctor Strange 2. So we've got that going on as well. In complete stupidity again, that idiot in the White House has named the WWE's Vince McMahon as an advisor to restart the economy. And I have to say, you stupid, dumb, motherfucking asshole, shithead, dumb fucker. God, I'm so saucy today. Christopher Cross, who contracted COVID-19 a couple weeks ago, has been temporarily paralyzed due to it. So that's a shame, and hopefully he'll be being okay. I already talked about Maryland schools being closed till May 15th. A tree has its own legal rights. I don't know how it came to be. I didn't read the full story, but it cannot be torn down or chopped down. It has legal right to live and survive where it is right now. So that's something interesting. The top grossing movie of this week was a movie called Swallow, I believe, was some sort of indie film that made $1,710 at one drive-in theater in Florida. So I just kind of find it really funny that, we know every other movie theater company is closed down, but this drive-in movie theaters have been, coming back pretty good, and they've been doing it. But the highest rated movie was this movie Swallow with $1,710, which is absolutely, it's interesting. I mean, you can say you're number one at the box office. So, hey, go for it. Speaking of that, Cinemark, one of the big movie companies, has said they will reopen in mid-July. As I said, AMC is considering that as well. They were thinking more about June, I think, but with their pending possible bankruptcy coming up, they will probably head off and see where that's going. But mid-July seems to be a good, appropriate time, because the only other movie that was still kind of lingering around its regular date was Pixar's summer film Soul, which was supposed to come out on June 19th, before my birthday, first day of summer this year also. But due to COVID-19 and all that other wacky stuff, weird, wild, wacky stuff, it has actually now officially been moved to November 20th, which places it in that new year, right before Thanksgiving week, which is always a good spot for Pixar movies as well. So it's actually a pretty smart idea to do that. So that pretty much clears out movies in June. So now you are going to start seeing the stuff in July. So that makes sense with Cinemark coming through in July, and AMC saying that they were going to start for June, both bankruptcy. July seems like a smart move as well. Plus, it gives it a little bit extra time, because there's absolutely nothing that is going to be in the movie theaters in June now. So live and learn. Artemis Fowl, which was supposed to be a summer film until Disney decided we're going to do a Disney Plus it. Released a new trailer this week that announces a June 12th dropping on to Disney Plus. So if you have Disney Plus, you can catch Artemis Fowl for the first time, boom, on June 12th. Speaking of Hugh Jackman turned down a role in the live action musical version of Cats. So you can take that as you want. I'm probably going to regret saying this, but I haven't had any issues with my bandwidth today, so I'm probably just going to do one episode. So ignore everything I said at the beginning of the show. So full on you. But of course, I have the right to say if I start getting issues again, boom, we're going to go to 2 episodes. So instead of being at 3:45 it'll be 3:46. So just bear with me. Boom, I'm going to keep moving. The Navajo Nation has lost more people to COVID-19 than 13 states. The Indians are getting hit the Native Americans are getting hit pretty hard with the stuff right now. Other stuff as well going on, and we need to be careful more about that. Home Depot is selling pineapple plants to give your decor a bit of a Hawaiian sort of flair as well. Sakura Matcha and Oolong Peach are new colorful Oreo cookies, which I don't know if you can actually get here on the mainland. They might be overseas, but that's 2 interesting flavors, and they are definitely weird colored cream as well for both of them. I think the matcha is it's really bright green, so who knows. Tiramisu Oreos are now out. I talked about them earlier. I did not see them at my grocery store, but to be honest, I really wasn't looking that hard. I was trying to get my other stuff and get the heck out of Dodge. So maybe next time I'll take a look for them, and I'll let you know. If I get them this week, I'll let you know how they are. If I do see them, I will grab them and I will taste them, and I will let you all know how they are. Italy has seen a drop in their COVID-19 cases, which is good. Means they're getting ready to go down the hill. They just need to keep doing what they're doing so they can clear out. And I think they will, because Italy's actually smart. Despite, they're smarter than the United States is, to be honest. So with that, so they're doing it, but they've been doing a bunch of stuff. I mean, early on, they've had people doing concerts from their apartment buildings, and you've had opera singers singing opera and musicians playing music, and everybody's loved it. Well, get ready for rooftop tennis in Italy. Video came out of one building here, and then this big open area like a field or whatever, and then there's another house over there, and these 2 people are playing tennis back and forth. So kind of clever. Science. Melting ice has revealed artifacts from a lost Viking highway in Norway. So the Vikings, life is a Viking highway, I'm gonna ride it, whatever the hell that song is. That was terrible. Scientists have also discovered one of the world's largest flowers blooming in a remote jungle. And this sucker looks like Vileplume of Pokemon. So this sucker's humongous. And pretty much just as pretty as well. So that's pretty cool on that. Pink dolphin. I've talked about the pink dolphin. That's been noticed. Well, guess what? Pink dolphin was pregnant and gave birth to a pink dolphin calf. So we have 2 pink dolphins now. So huzzah to pink dolphins. Maybe they're going to be a new species. That would be cool. Landlords are allegedly asking for sex in lieu of rent. Unfortunately, my wife has not asked me for sex in lieu of rent. I still have to pay rent. So I don't know what that says about me, but oh well. A while back, right around the time when this all started back in February, I did an episode of this show where I was discussing where it felt like the end of the world was coming. And I discussed that there was red snow down in Antarctica. Granted, it was algae, but still it looked like blood coming from the sky, which was one of the, what do you call that? Well, whatever, you know what it is. Then there's disease. With this disease has ripped through stuff. There's also locusts have been having a huge migration out in the desert and out there in the Middle East. So there's been a humongous locust attack. So those are all signs of the apocalypse. So I made a joke is when you're going to start seeing more about drought and famine and stuff like that, then you're going to know this end of days. Guess what? And this article caught me by surprise this morning. Scientists say a mega drought, I should say mega drought conditions not seen in 400 years have appeared in the West. California, Nevada, not Montana, stuff like that. Utah, Arizona, New Mexico. 400-year-old drought. But there was the actual word of it again, was a mega drought. That just happens to fall with blood from the sky, a virus pandemic, and locusts. And then you got to think back to when they discovered that mummy sarcophagus, black mummy sarcophagus. And they're like, let's open it, see what happens. You think it's a conspiracy theory? It ain't a conspiracy theory. I will get to conspiracy theories in a little bit. I thought that'd be a good segue, but instead I just realized that if I am going to have to do 2 episodes, I don't want to screw people over. So let me tell you about my dream I had, which I'm going to turn it into a story I'm going to write. Now, again, I cannot publish it until I get permission, and I will not get permission because I know that this author will not give permission to just anybody to write their stuff. But who knows, once I write it, I let her read it. We'll see. But I have come up with another Harry Potter book. This one came to me in a dream. And it's going to be called Harry Potter and the Outsiders. And that's the tentative title. I still have some other ideas what it might be. But I'm about to drop some spoilers, even though you have no idea what I'm talking about because it's all in my head. But the dream I had is that the story I'm going to make, and this is, as I said, the dream is morphed now into the story. I've written down everything, so I've got it. No, not everything, but I've got it written down. I went so far as I bought a new notebook and some new pens, and I'm going to start writing it. I have all my ideas written down in my old paychecks from my job, so I got that. So, takes place 9 months after the Battle of Hogwarts. That means that Hermione is still in school at Hogwarts because she went back for her final year to get her full education. Ginny is in her final year of her education. She's getting there. Ron and Harry didn't go back to school, and they decided they were going to be R'ers, so they were R'ers for a while. So it takes place right after Christmas break. So Harry was able to spend time with Ron, Hermione, and Ginny, as well as the other Weasleys. And now he's going back to, he still runs into Ron, because they still work together, stuff like that. But Ron is also now obsessing about courting Hermione because he wants to give her a good life and be with her forever since they've had all this time, where they finally realized what they feel for each other. Now he's going to make up for extra time. So he's more focused on that than hanging out with Harry, stuff like that. And Harry's fine with that. He understands because he'd rather be with Ginny than her brother, obviously. So it takes place after Christmas holidays. So they're going back to work. And so Harry is presently living at Grimmauld Place, which he was given by Sirius. And so he still lives there until he eventually, I guess, when Ginny graduates and they decide to get married, and then they can move to a nicer house country or stay in Grimmauld Place. They probably wouldn't, but it's still property and you don't give that up. So it takes place, 9 months after that. So Harry's walking back because, the Ministry of Magic is not that far from Grimmauld Place. So he's walking back from work one day in the evening, and he notices someone staring up at where Grimmauld Place is. And when he comes upon him, he discovers that it is one, spoiler alert, Severus Snape. Now you're saying Severus Snape died. Yes, he did, but he's back. But he's not exactly himself. And we learn later on that he had created a potion, or I hadn't said a potion or some other thing as well that he took before the final battle, knowing that this could be his last time, but he needs to have a little bit extra time. And it would be one of those things that even if he didn't die, he would still be okay. It wouldn't hurt him. But if he did die, it would bring him back, but only for a limited amount of time. Right now, I have it for 5 years. He's given 5 more years before he has to move on like that. But he's not himself. He's almost a complete cipher. He does not have his animosity and his sort of character that you expect. He still has little bits and pieces of it, and his magic ability is not as good, but his brain is still there, and his potions and his brains and his smarts are still there, but he's not the Snape. So he reveals to Harry that back before he became a good guy and a spy, and he was working with Voldemort as being one of the bad guys, he was given the task of hiding 4 doomsday devices for the Dark Lord in case things were turning badly. Only Severus would know where they are, and Severus would go and pull them, and they would use it to destroy the Ministry and take over the world. Voldemort at that point didn't want to really do it that way because he felt, egotistically that he could handle stuff, but he wanted to have a backup just in case. And it might actually turn out that he didn't know about it, and that it was more along the other Death Eaters decided they wanted to do that in case. So, but now after the war, there are still Death Eaters out there. Now, a lot of them have been captured and a lot of them are dead, but there's still a lot of them out there. And this is a lot like after wars where, combatants don't know the war's over, or they keep fighting the war for months afterwards. So there are Death Eaters out there who are trying to regroup, and some of them know about these devices. So they're going to try to grab them and try to drop them onto the Ministry and all that. So Snape says, Harry's got to get a band of people together, a small group, one from every house of Hogwarts, to go and take out these 4 doomsday devices. And they have to work together like that. And they cannot tell a soul about it. No one is going to know that they did this. So the first person they go to is a Hufflepuff, who had a absolute terrible time at her 7 years of Hogwarts. No friends, felt invisible, but she is a very skilled at memory charms, and she is an introvert, so she doesn't like being around people, but she decides it's her job to do this. So the memory charms is a thing that's really going to be helpful for that, because she's going to need that to wipe people's memories so that they don't know what's going on. Then they go to a Ravenclaw, who I still haven't figured out the history of it yet, but the Ravenclaw, she was only at Hogwarts for half the time for 4 years. So I don't know if it's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, or 1, 2, 3, 4. I haven't decided yet. And then her family moved to America, and she had to finish out her magical education at the American school. So she's got sort of this weird yin and yang sort of personality. She's very, very smart. She's also a lesbian. Figured I open up a little thing. And the Hufflepuff is black. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of wide open for everybody. And then the last person that Harry needs to grab is one Draco Malfoy. Because at this point, remember, Draco is trying to redeem himself and his family name, but he's suffering from a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder. So and then Snape convinces Harry that he needs this to get back to himself. And so they're able to convince. So you have his 4 crew, their little crew together, and they have to work together to do this. And that's the main gist of the story. So that's my new Harry Potter story. I'm still working on the logistics of it. I'm going to probably start writing it soon. I've got a lot of good ideas, interesting ideas. And but yeah, I didn't want, with the exception of obviously Snape and Draco, I didn't want any of the other and Harry. I didn't want any of the other main characters. I don't want any Hermione, Ginny, Ron, Neville, any of them, the Weasleys. I don't want any Luna. I don't want any of these other characters who've had their time in the Harry Potter books in this. They might pop up to set scenes and have conversations, stuff like that, but they're not going to be a main gist of the story. So I think that's works. So let's know how that goes. All right, we're 50 minutes in. Around this time, usually I'm having issues with my bandwidth. I ain't having issues. I'm gonna keep steaming through. All right, so we're still looking right now like one episode right now. And darn it all, I was gonna change my shirt, but you know what? Not gonna do that. So let's keep moving. And thank God my phone has stopped going crazy. So that was my Harry Potter story. So I figure we may as well end this possible next 10 minutes before the first hour is up with COVID-19 conspiracy theories. Again, drive me absolutely bonkers. It makes me want to go, gah, yeah, you know. The first one that we talked about already is the 5G towers. They believe that the 5 gig towers are causing COVID-19, so people are actually destroying those towers. In the UK, story I said last week, the UK is saying, please don't destroy these 5G towers. They're not doing anything, and you're a bunch of stupid, complete morons. Another idea is that Bill Gates is going to use the vaccine to track and control the population. That's always an excuse for people who are afraid of vaccines, that's one of the things that could happen. That, and they can get autism, which is also not true. Agenda 21, which was something that apparently was supposed to have passed in the 1990s, is to control the citizens and get rid of some of the control the citizens and get rid of some of the dead weight, control the citizens and kill them periodically to cull the herd, as it were. Another crazy one. People, this is the one that's driving me the absolute bonkers, is there are people who are taking and posting videos outside of hospitals which don't show craziness. It looks quiet, like there's nothing going on, and it's their proof that the virus is not as bad, and that fear-mongering media and the Democrats are using it to get rid of that asshole in Washington. And that they're saying that I've been hearing stuff that it's not that bad and that it's all been made up, that there's all this death and horribleness and stuff like that in the hospitals, that it's all fake and made up, and it's a bunch of BS. Why don't you go into the hospital and see for yourself without any coverings or whatever, and see at that? See, the thing is, they're afraid to. Plus, a lot of hospitals say they don't want people to take cameras and pictures of stuff, so they've shifted where the people coming in anyway. Now I know it's like, oh, you're just backing them up because you're a stupid lib, aren't you? I'm a liberal, but I'm also pretty smart. And if you really truly believe that, why don't you go into a hospital, go to the emergency room, walk around the hospital without a mask or any protections on, and see what happens. And finally, the weirdest one of all these conspiracies, the pandemic is masking a military operation to rescue thousands of deformed mole children from the clutches of sex traffickers in underground tunnels underneath Central Park. That's why they put the medical tents up in Central Park, because they are digging underground. They are bringing up these deformed mole children to escape from the sex traffickers, and are hiding them in these tents so you can't see them, and making it seem like there's a pandemic going on, and these are for people who have COVID-19, or they're being used for people who are sick with other problems, but they don't want to mix them with the COVID-19 people. Moving on. Good Lord, I got 3 full pages left, don't I? Good Lord. This might be a while, so I don't think I can do this in half an hour, so we'll find out. So we're just going to throw through here a bunch of stuff through here. Florida deems the WWE to be essential business, so they are going to show a WWE competition, and people will be able to go see it as well, which is just, Florida's just fucking up this whole COVID-19 thing for everybody. Next, Netflix's Cowboy Bebop live action show was in the news months ago when star John Cho, at the beginning of filming of the show, uh, had a serious accident and broke, I think, his leg seriously, I mean, really badly. So he's had to have like 6 to 9 months of rehab. And that appears to be coming up about now. So right when they were getting ready to film again, this comes around, so they're not going to be able to. But that being said, once this is all done, they will film the first season, and Netflix already has a high belief in it that it's going to film, or has already announced a second season for Cowboy Bebop. So there's going to be at least 2 seasons of Cowboy Bebop, which is good because that way now the writers who have had all this time to work stuff, they'll know, okay, we can spread out our story a little bit, let it breathe a little bit, and don't have to push everything in there. Netflix is also now worth more slightly than Disney right now because Disney has nothing being released in movie theaters, which helps build their money up. And all of Netflix's originals are appearing on Netflix. Now, Disney's got a couple of originals going on, but they are not nearly as much as Netflix has. So at this point, Netflix is a lot more, is worth more than Disney is at this second. Now, is that going to change? No, once everything opens back up again. From what I said, I think Disney has a movie a week for the rest of the year. If you start movies back up on July 15th, they will have a movie a week for the rest of the year. So because of all the shifting that they've done and stuff like that. And that includes Fox movies that they own also, and Disney and other ones as well that they have a hand in as well. So that's kind of interesting as well. And there's one other Netflix story. Let me see if I can find it. Boom Studios, which is a comic book company that I am familiar with. I collect some of their comics, but one of the big wigs there was my former mentor at Diamond, Philip Sablik. He's probably one of the guys that helped get this all together. But Boom Studios has signed a deal with Netflix for shows based on their comics, much like what Mark Millar did as well. He's got the Millar World stuff. Nothing has really come of that yet, which is kind of interesting. But he has a deal with it. Now Boom Studios has a deal with them as well to do some of their shows. Folklore is really good. And I've heard a lot of other, there's a bunch of other really, really good ones. Who's Killing the Children, or Who's Killing the Children, or whatever. There's some really, really interesting ones from Boom that are ripe for the Netflix. That's good. Speaking of old 19, well, I wasn't speaking of old 19, but speaking of TV series, an old 90s computer game, one of the most popular games from the early 90s, back when computers were still fairly new. This was a huge deal. You ever heard of the game called Myst? MYST. Has one of the coolest soundtracks out there. Is such a broad game. It was really it got to be too complicated that I stopped playing it after a while. But everyone tried playing it, and it just it's crazy. Let's see, the Myst theme. That should be the theme song for the TV show. But yeah, so it's a lot of investigating and a lot of doing this, a lot of doing that. It's absolutely crazy. It was one of the weirdest and hardest games out there, and one of the ones that there just was no. You walked around and you did stuff. You moved things, you touched things, you did stuff, and then something else happened, and then you keep walking, but there was no like enemies swarming in at you to attack you. You had to do all this stuff. You had to look in the files, and you had to find things that would tell you where to go. It was a really complicated, brainy sort of thing, but it's a really kind of an interesting sort of fantasy, sci-fi-esque sort of thing, and it would be absolutely brilliant if you can figure out some sort of storyline to do that. So that could be interesting as well. So I'll go with that. My son has gotten into Fortnite. And to be honest, I've been watching him play Fortnite for a while now, and I'm actually anxious. I want to play a little bit of Fortnite as well. I get into it. I think it's really, really cool. It reminds me a lot of the Hunger Games, but they've got all this stuff that they're going on right now. They've got this, and it's divided by chapters and seasons. And they're on chapter 2, season 2, and that has been extended to June 4th. It was supposed to end April 30th, but now it's been pushed to June 4th, which will be some sort of end game will happen then. And then the next chapter starts with a whole new board and all kinds of stuff, which makes the game that much more interesting. However, during this season 2, chapter 2 has become more like a spy thing. They decided, hey, why don't we throw Deadpool into this? So Deadpool has popped up into the game as well right now. You can actually fight him, and if you defeat him, you get his guns. You can also look like him. If you do some tasks, you can get his skin and run around and be Deadpool and do stuff like that. This week, they released the X-Force Deadpool skin. You had to do a couple things to do that, including go to the yacht that he has taken over, and you had to salute his shorts and find his missing underwear also. Find his missing underwear and salute his pants, I should say. But that would get you the gray and white X-Force Deadpool costume. My son did that. And now there's also a pack you can get that introduces Cable, Domino, and Psylocke to the game. So if you use V-Bucks to buy that, you can get all those skins and their weapons and stuff like that. And that's really, really cool. So that's kind of neat. But there's always new stuff coming out with that. But I thought that was kind of neat. With South Africa being in lockdown, lions are acting just like regular pussycats. They are lying down on the roads. They curled up everywhere. They're just sort of splattered everywhere, not worrying about people because they got nothing to worry about. No one's hunting them. No one's going after them. They're just all over the place. They're like, I'm going to fall asleep here. Boom. So there was a picture of like 5 or 6 of them sleeping on a road. And nobody was coming down the road because there's no cars or anything like that. Nobody's hunting them. So that's kind of cool. We're going to talk a little bit more about other animals. Koalas, rescued from the Australian bushfires are now being returned back to their world now that things have sort of settled down a little bit, just in time for their fall, winter. If they hibernate, I'm not exactly sure what they do, but it'll give them a chance to get back into their territory. It should be colder temperatures down there, so you shouldn't have any issues with the fire and heat anymore. So they're going to get back to their lands, and they're going to get back to their nests, and they're going to do stuff, and they're going to relax, and we'll see what happens when in about 3 to 4 months, see what happens with that. So we got that as well. Also, where is the other thing here? Here we go. More sightings of bears, coyotes, and bobcats in Yosemite due to the lockdown with not as many people out. The animals are coming out more and more. Nobody's hunting for them. Nobody's looking for them, whatever. So they're being viewed by the rangers more and more out in the open. A little bit closer to home, a coyote, which I didn't know we had around here. Or was it a wolf? It's either wolf or coyote, one of those two. I think it's a coyote. Was spotted on 795, which is right back there. We have a bunch of wooded areas, so they might have made their way down because, hey, there's no people, around. We can walk around now in peace. So that's kind of interesting as well. Okay, a supermarket boss gives the finger to a hoarder who wants to get a refund for the toilet paper they hoarded, which I think I back the supermarket boss entirely. You came in all freaked out and panicked, and you bought all the toilet paper out. You bought tons and tons of it that you were never going to use because you were afraid of something like that happening. And now you realize, hey, I'm not using much toilet paper. I'm not using much toilet paper. As I told you last week, I bought on the 13th of March, I bought a 8-pack or whatever of these massive rolls of toilet paper. We've only done 3 of them, and that's April 18th right now. I've only used 3 of them. I found another 6-pack somewhere, and if I find another one, I'll pick up another one, but I'm not hoarding it. So this woman's like, oh, I'm just going to return this then and get my money back. No, you started this stupid thing by letting other people not get the toilet paper, and now you want to return this? You're a stupid motherfucking bitch. And I like cursing today. So fuck you. Fuck you. That's what I would do to the supermarket guy as well. And for the supermarket guy, congratulations doing that to that person. Well deserved. So no, fuck off. You bought it. I'm not taking it back. You could say, I'll take it back because people need it. But no, you want to teach them lessons like, well, you shouldn't have bought that many in the first place. Now, should you have? Dumb bitch. Joss Whedon has been rumored to be talking FF, the Fantastic Four, with the MCU about possibly maybe directing the movie. Actually, that wouldn't be too bad. He did really, really well with the Avengers. Avengers 2 was a little bit of a misfire, but he had a lot going on. But if you just give him a chance to just let loose with Fantastic Four, let him get a chance to, write the sarcastic Human Torch and the Thing and sort of do that sort of stuff, that might be pretty good. The dry humor of Reed Richards. I think it would be a good fit, I think. A virtual tour of the Dark Crystal exhibit at the Center for Puppets is now out, so you can check that out. Also, there are a bunch of websites where you can see movie cameras set up in haunted houses and watch them to see if you see ghosts. I think one is also Leprechauns is one you can find also. So for supernatural, you can do that online as well. The Public Theater cancels Shakespeare in the Park this year, which is a shame. But it, again, makes sort of sense because you don't know what things are going to happen. Kenyan governor is under fire after putting Hennessy bottles in COVID-19 care packages. And a lot of people are like, what's the big deal? And honestly, I don't see what the big deal is either. But I think the main reason why he did it was because supposedly, if you drink some Hennessy, the alcohol is supposed to burn and knock down the virus. And that was what I think they are most concerned about. But in the end, it's like, let him put bottles of Hennessy in. He's not doing anything wrong. He's not saying that's going to cure you. He's just saying, well, here's some Hennessy, have it. LeVar Burton will be appearing in Picard Season 2. That pretty much leaves Worf, who hasn't shown up in there yet. And Will Wheaton's Wesley hasn't showed up there yet. Q hasn't showed up in there yet. So Dr. Crusher hasn't showed up in there yet. So there's some other people that they can do that. Guinan, Whoopi Goldberg's character, is supposed to pop up in Season 2 as well. So we will see about that as well. Former running back of the Bears claims that the NFL is scripted. Now, I've heard this before. There are a multitude of YouTube channels, or at least there's one YouTube channel that I know of that shows where games are all fixed due to, and he points out stuff, the way the clock is, the way the refs are, the way things happen, like with the things where it's the clock is getting down to like 3, 2, 1, and once it goes 0, the quarterback has to throw the ball, and then there are scenes where they say, okay, watch this, freeze, it's at 0-0, he hasn't hiked the ball yet. So he should have been flagged for delay of game, but he's not. And so he gets additional 2 or 3 seconds, then throws the ball, and they score a touchdown because that was how it worked out. But they didn't get flagged for that. So, and then people complain, they'll throw the replay flag out, says there's not enough evidence to overturn it, and they'll keep it up. So I don't know if it's true or not. I don't think it is. But they say that the NFL is scripted. I don't believe it for a second. Company is going to pay 5 people $1,000 each to binge watch the Harry Potter movies, including my new one, which I just talked about. No, not really, but that is an actual thing. So if you're interested in that, I guess take a look at it and we'll find out. Speaking of football, the New England Patriots, who have been on top of the world since 2003, now that Tom Brady has moved on to the Tampa Bay Bucks, the odds makers set the Patriots win total the lowest that's ever been since 2003. So they're thinking that the Patriots aren't going to do that well this year now that Tom Brady is gone. And we'll see what happens about that. Speaking of Tom Brady, I have a Tom Brady story in here somewhere else. Yeah, there you go. Bootleggers sold a Tampa Bay t-shirt, and Tom Brady didn't like that idea, so he bought the copyright. So now the people who came up with the idea now have to pay Tom Brady all the money that they made for making those, regular old bootleg t-shirts. Kind of a dick move, to be honest, but what can I say? Oh, I'm so excited I'm not having any issues with my computer today. So excellent. Pizza Groundhog was going to be the name of episode 346 if that was the case. But because I do not need that right now, I will talk about Pizza Groundhog. Groundhog in Philadelphia, I believe, or New York or something like that, was spotted and filmed eating a pizza that was left on the floor in front of a window. So that's kind of cute. You see that with squirrels all the time, but not with a groundhog. Disney and Disney Plus's Rogue One series for Star Wars is adding Stellan Skarsgård as a actor and is going to be playing a character in the show. That's pretty cool. He's a good actor, so it's good about that. Yuengling Brewery commits $100,000 to COVID-19 programs. Dill Pickle Vodka. My nickname was Dill Pickle in high school. One of many. Buster was another one. Dudley was another one, but Dill Pickle was another one that I did. Dill Weed was another one I dealt with. But there is Dill Pickle Vodka now. I hate dill pickles, so I'm not going to be drinking that anytime soon. I do like Skittles, and there are Skittles freezer pops. Those summer things that are made with juice. You put them in the freezer, they freeze up, and you squeeze them, and now they have them in Skittles flavors. There's going to be another Green Hornet movie. Do we really need another one after the Seth Rogen disaster? Apparently so. A giant burger stuffed Hot Pocket. I guess it's a giant Hot Pocket that has burgers in it. Is a thing now. You can get from Amazon a 51,300 piece puzzle, which I think is absolutely insane. Man brings llama dressed in a tuxedo to his sister's wedding. I should have done that for my sister's wedding back in '93, but I did not, because I did not think of that at all. Land O'Lakes butter is going to retire the Native American woman that's been on their packaging forever. I think that's ridiculous, and they're going to repackage it as something else. I think that's ridiculous. That's the way you know that it's Land O'Lakes butter, and I think that's dumb and it's stupid, and they shouldn't do it. Pokemon Go news, a ton of stuff out there to keep, Pokemon Go has always been one of those games where they want people to get out and about and do stuff, but now that they can't, they're trying to help out by creating some different things. First up is they're bringing Community Day back next weekend. It'll be, you can stay at home and do it. You'll have lures and stuff like that. And the Community Day Abra will pop up in your house, so you don't have to get out, but we'll probably get out because we have plenty of, social distancing in our neighborhood. And we got tons of Pokestops and gyms. So we'll probably do that. But you can also buy a $1, a 99-cent ticket to a special Abra in-game it's a in-game quest where you have to do a bunch of things. I bought that already, so I'm good on that. Tomorrow is the first ever incense event where you go from 11 to 5, and your incense is going to go 3 hours, I believe. And every hour on the hour, it'll incense a different type of Pokemon, and Sentret's also going to be popping up more often, so you have a better chance of getting more of, specific types of Pokemon and more chances at shinies and stuff like that. So that's going to be kind of interesting. Shiny Chinchou, because they've canceled all Safari Zone events, but because people have bought their tickets, they know who bought their tickets, so they create a Safari Zone just for those people who buy the tickets, so people can go to the Safari Zone and have all the experiences from their house. And one of the things with Shiny Chinchou is now out there, but that'll also be released in the wild, but it will not be a special event. So if you see any Chinchous tomorrow during the water hour, where it's incensed, check them to see if they're going to be shiny as well. The Power Up is now new. You can power up your Pokemon to make them stronger until it hits its height. Now you used to have to just power them up and you wouldn't know exactly what the CP would be, but now you can power it up all the way if you want. Instead of doing it over and over and over again, you just do a one-time boom and it'll get powered up. It'll take all the necessary stardust and candies out, but you'll be able to see what the CP is going to be and how high. So that's kind of cool as well. Off-site rating is going to be a very good possibility really soon, maybe as soon as next week. They're creating tickets where you can actually, or passes where you can actually, if you see any gyms within your area, we've got a ton in our area that we can use if we want to. You can use tickets, and up to 20 people can also do an off-site thing. You can do a raid from your home without having to get out. So that's a good thing as well. Buddy Day is coming up as well next week. You'll be doing a lot of stuff with your buddy. Some shinies are going to be coming out with that as well. Your buddies are going to start bringing you, presents, guaranteed research. So instead of having to go to a Pokestop every day, if you can't get out of the house and get a Pokestop to get some research for the day, they will send you an extra research task that you can do from home, so you can still get all your research deals and stuff like that. So all kinds of interesting stuff going on with Pokemon Go. It's going crazy. So it's a good time to get back into it now, particularly tomorrow with the Incense event. So go for that. All right, I got 2 full pages of stuff to do, and I've been on for an hour and 16 minutes, so let's keep going. We're going to have a bunch of supernatural stuff now. Sweet, just in time, 11:13, perfect timing. This is going to be a long episode. A man has been forced to quarantine in a ghost town. That kind of sucks, but it'd be kind of interesting too. A ghost town, I mean, I'm sure there's probably other people there, but it's still kind of a weird, dead town in the middle of nowhere, and he's got to stay there because of the way this COVID-19 is working out. So that's kind of crazy. Thrill seekers discover a corpse in an abandoned haunted hospital in Japan. That must have freaked the hell out of them, because they truly believe in a lot of that stuff, and who knows if this person died due to the haunted beings in this abandoned haunted hospital, or they were killed and put there, which means that a killer actually walked there, killed somebody, and placed the dead body there. So that's just creepy as well. Bigfoot footprint has been spotted in Harford County, which is out here. Harford County is actually that way. So a little bit of a ways, but hey, maybe Bigfoot's in the area. There have been many sightings of Bigfoot in Maryland, believe it or not, and so that's a possibility that it could be coming back for that. Wolfman is terrorizing a Mexican town during the lockdown. That's kind of a weird kind of thing, but they also truly believe in this type of stuff. But there's a creature that's keeping people inside that they are calling as a Wolfman. On the flip side of that, in Indonesia, the town people who run the town don't want anybody to leave their houses. They want to keep them quarantined so this COVID-19 goes away. Now, Indonesia is one of the most superstitious countries in the world. So these people have created they've created an idea where they're going to pay people, outsiders, whatever, to come to their town dressed as ghosts to keep the people inside the house, because they're going to see these ghosts walking around outside, think they're real, and says, I ain't going out there, because they're not going to even consider that it could be people dressed up as ghosts. So I think that's kind of a neat idea as well. Is that all the supernatural stuff? A mysterious treasure has been buried in Virginia, but no one can figure out the cipher, which would tell you where to find it. So if you think you're smart enough, come and check out the cipher and see if you can find where this mysterious treasure in Virginia is. And Virginia is a big country, so who knows? I think that's about it. Yep. So that's it for like the supernatural stuff. Florida. What the hell is that? Florida has all dogs. Oh, Florida Kennel has all their dogs adopted. The first time that ever happened. So there's no dogs left in this kennel. All the dogs have been adopted, so that's kind of cool. Um, in this time of staying at home and stuff like that, streaming services are coming out the wazoo. As I said, Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, they're doing humongous. Amazon, they're doing humongous jobs. Well, we've got CBS also has their own with their Star Trek stuff. HBO Max is going to be coming up soon, and apparently NBC is going to have one called The Peacock, and they've got two reboots of their classic shows coming to the Peacock, and both of them released teaser trailers this week. One was terrible. One was actually pretty cool. I liked it. The terrible one was the Saved by the Bell reboot. That's supposedly going to have Mario Lopez, Elizabeth Berkley, Mark Paul Gosselaar, Tiffany Amber Thiessen are all going to be returning for the role. I don't think Lark Voorhees, and neither is the dorky guy because he's already in trouble with the law. But the story is along the line is that Mark Paul Gosselaar is like the governor of California or something like that, and his son goes to the old Saved by the Bell school, Bayside High, and has troubles with I think other people, Mario Lopez's son or something like that, or Elizabeth Berkley's son, I don't know, whatever. But this preview only showed Mario Lopez and Elizabeth Berkley. That was the only ones they showed, and then the new characters, Mark Paul Gosselaar's son and stuff like that, and some of the new characters. But it looked weird. It was nice to see Elizabeth Berkley because she's still hot, but Mario Lopez just looked absolutely goofy. He's like going to be the Belding type. He's like the gym teacher at Bayside High, and he's like being the goofy type of guy. So I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of that. But the one I kind of enjoyed is the Punky Brewster reboot teaser trailer, because Salil Moonfry is still really, really hot also. She's still smoking hot. And the handsome man is going to be in there, Freddie Prinze Jr., who happens to be married to Sarah Michelle Gellar. He's playing a role in it as well. But Punky Brewster, it had sort of that vibrant, fun atmosphere to it. Reminded me of the original Punky Brewster film, or TV show rather, whereas the Saved by the Bell thing was just cringeworthy. This is actually very entertaining, and of the two of them, I would probably recommend the Punky Brewster one because it looks great. Salil Moonfry looks great. Freddie Prinze Jr. looks great. The show looks interesting. They're bringing back her friend, also is in it as well, and they all have kids, but she still has that punky atmosphere to her. So I think that's kind of cool. So hooray on that. The gray-headed flying fox is a very rare bird, has been found as well. So pictures have been taken of him. So that's pretty interesting. Some local news: Sykesville family creates a comic book to help those with autism understand what's going on with the COVID-19, stuff like that. I think that's a really cool idea like that. Taneytown police sent an email warning residents to wear pants when going to your mailboxes. So just a reminder to, even though you're not really wearing anything else, wear something when you go out to your mailbox. You can strip down when you get into your house, but no, other than that, no. Speaking of Fortnite, I missed this one before. The Loot Lake Vault has made an appearance in Fortnite again. This is what helped create the end of the Fortnite world in Chapter 1. So we'll see what's going to be, that's going to bring that about. A British puzzle maker creates the world's largest Rubik's Cube. No, same no more. It's huge. The guy was like 6 feet tall, and it's like 12 feet tall. So kind of interesting about that. Slippers with wheels are a thing, and they can actually park themselves underneath your bed or whatever, but they do have wheels, so that's kind of interesting. The WGA, Writers Guild of America, tells out-of-work live-action workers to get into animation, which is kind of a shit thing to do. Because, animation you can do for the most part because you can have it separated, stuff like that. You won't have actors. You can do the voices separately and stuff like that. But it's not your right to tell writers what they should write. Speaking of California, the California Highway Patrol, or CHIPS, pulls over 460 speeding South Carolina cars in 3 hours due to there being less traffic. So with them being less traffic, people are blowing through the speed limit, not caring that speed limit might be 55 or 60. They're going 80, 90 miles an hour, and the police are like, we ain't going to handle that, and you're going to stop right now. You can take a virtual tour of an Egyptian tomb, 5,000-year-old Egyptian tomb, I should say. The first discovered bald eagle nest has been spotted in a saguaro cactus. So that's pretty cool. Roger Corman wants to see your quarantine films. You can send a short film to Roger Corman if you made them during your quarantine. He might, buy it or put it out as a film festival or whatever. So keep that in mind. Marvel Comics has told more creators to stop working on their comics because right now, you figure, this would be the best time to get ahead, where your writers are sending you your plots and stuff like that, and you've got plenty of time now. Nothing's really changing for you because you're drawing all the time, but now they're saying don't because we can't afford to pay you. So, which is kind of a shame because now comics are going to start being delayed again. They were hoping that we would be able to get things back on track and keep things steady, but now they can't. So we'll see what happens with that. Jonathan Frakes, Commander Riker, reminisced about playing Captain America, but not in a TV show or movie or anything like that. When he first started out as an actor, he needed the work and he needed money. So he went to a place where he dressed up as Captain America and went around with a guy who was dressed up, I think, as Spider-Man. And they would do mall openings and comic book stores and comic conventions and car dealerships and all stuff. And they did some concerts also. And they did a little bit of this and that. But, Jonathan Frakes was Captain America at one time. An abandoned mall has been converted has converted the stores in the mall into 48 homes. It's a good idea for some low income homes inside the mall. Why not convert those shops into that you're not using anymore into housing? I think that's a really cool idea. Honestly, I think it's a really, really good idea, and I wish more people would do it. Lego is making face masks and face shields, I should say, for doctors, stuff like that. I mean, real ones, not these, not fake Lego ones, but actual real ones using the plastic they use for their Legos and the clear glass, stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. A weatherman working from home has a co-anchor, a co-weatherman, in his cat. So he brings his cat on and he does his show with a cat in his arms. A 93-year-old woman who went viral for holding up a sign saying she needs more beer gets 150 cans from Coors Light. So good on that. That's the other one. What's the Busch Beer one? Busch Beer is offering free beer for a year to couples whose marriages were canceled due to COVID-19. So Busch Beer is just like Coors Light. They're both kind of crappy beer, but hey, at least they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're getting some good, good looks and stuff like that, and things appearing, really, really cool and well for them. So good on that. There are actually twerking shorts that glow when you twerk. So you're twerking, and then one cheek glows and the other one glows, and they do a little random thing when you're twerking. So, good for the clubs when the clubs open back up, and get yourself some twerking shorts. Animal Crossing, which is the big game of the year, has actually created a museum tour, and you can go take a look at that on Animal Crossing, an actual museum tour on Animal Crossing. March 2020 was the first March without a school shooting since 2002, since nobody was in school. But it's kind of sad that that there were 18 straight years that in March there was at least one school shooting. That's unacceptable and needs to be looked at and taken care of in the future. Dune, the big movie that could make or break this 2020 movie season, depending on how things go, is one of the most anticipated movies of the year. Isn't out till December, but the director Villanueva, I forget his first name, Dennis Villanueva, revealed his first few views of it, including pictures of the main cast, like Oscar Isaac, Timothy Chalamet, and others in their costumes, and also came up with, I believe, a poster or something. So that's kind of cool. Looks pretty good. I haven't read Dune before. I probably should before this movie comes out, because everyone seems to think this is going to be the big movie of the year. So we'll see. The San Francisco 49ers lost this Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs. And now people are saying that that might be a good thing because right around the time of the Super Bowl is right when COVID-19 started making its way into the United States. And they believe that the reason why San Francisco hasn't had as big of an outbreak is because there was no Super Bowl parade in San Francisco because the 49ers lost the game. So there was no way for people who might have been infected to spread it in a group setting like that. So good on that. See, losing the Super Bowl can be good for you. Trolls World Tour, the movie that was released, I think, direct to video on demand, since the movie theaters weren't open at that time, broke massive records of on-demand records and made a ton of money. And it's crazy to think, do you think that if it was released in movie theaters that it would make as much money? Probably not. But due to the fact that anyone would be once new stuff, and Trolls, there was a Trolls movie before that was fairly popular, and now the sequel came out and you could just sit at home and watch it with your kids over and over and over again, so having to go to the movie theater over and over again, whatever. So it became a huge deal and did really, really well. So maybe that's a sign of the future. Maybe that means that more movies are going to be released. Maybe Artemis Fowl, when it comes out June 12th, is going to have another huge opening, and people are going to go, ooh, maybe we can make more money by doing it directly on streaming. I don't know if that's the case, to be honest, because that's personally, I miss the most is going to a movie theater and getting the whole experience, but I'm just one person. S'mores martini is a thing, so okay. Just in time for summer, I guess. A s'mores sort of flavored martini. Why not? Go for it. Hell, make it now if you want to. Also, Star Trek gnomes, garden gnomes, are a thing as well. So you can get Next Generation only right now, but hey, garden gnomes that have Star Trek characters for the Trekkie in your life. Go for it, man. American rats are getting desperate due to the lockdown because people aren't about and leaving a lot of trash, that they have to resort to cannibalism of themselves. Poor rats, I guess. Colorado brewery is driving around and delivering beer and selling beer like an ice cream man, but it's the beer man. So Colorado, why not? You've got marijuana legalized and you're a brewing capital, so why not do that? That's a great idea. Speaking of legalization of marijuana, this isn't legalization, but the Virginia governor has signed a marijuana decriminalization bill, which means that it's the next step is going to be legalizing it, but now it's not going to be a criminal offense if you're caught with weed, even though it still technically is illegal in Virginia. 12-year-old boy climbs Mount Everest from his house by climbing the stairs in his house 2,507 times, which simulates the height that Everest is. I guess his parents or himself, they figured out, how many times he'd have to go up and down the stairs, and that would be how high up Mount Everest is. 2,507 times going up and down the stairs. That's insane. Oh, yeah. Man shoots himself in penis while robbing a Chicago hot dog stand. That headline pretty much says itself, and then sells itself, doesn't it? He shoots himself in the penis at a hot dog stand while trying to rob it. Hot dog, penis, never mind. Reebok has created a Colonel Marine style shoe based on the Aliens characters. Aliens Day is coming up, I think, the 26th. So, that's pretty cool idea. And so there you go. Speaking of movies, do you know Federico Fellini? He is one of the greatest foreign language film directors of our time. His movies are sweeping, ethereal, dramatic, stuff like that. A producer in the 80s, though, thought a Federico Fellini directed Friday the 13th movie would win Oscars? A slasher film directed by Federico Fellini, who is considered to be one of the greatest Italian directors of our time. Nope. Whew. 64-year-old man accidentally ejects himself from a fighter plane. Which is so full of stupid people today. 90 million years ago, Antarctica was a rainforest. I think I touched on that last week as well. This came up again this week, so obviously it's becoming a big deal. Let me just see. Is this part of the... no, something else. Mike Mignola, artist, creator of Hellboy, has been drawing all kinds of crazy characters, stuff like that, and he's auctioning them off as well. He's not part of the comics for creators, but he is doing his own part to help stuff like that. And he drew a bunch of the Frankenberry and Boo Berries and Count Chocula's and the Fruit Loops, and all the mascots like that. He drew them, so he's going to have an auction for all the cereal ones that he drew, which I think is really cool because I love his work. Maryland, now this is local news, Maryland now has to wear masks whenever they go to the grocery store or into any retail establishment or ride on public transportation. We have a couple of masks from my wife's work, but we're going to use bandana stuff. I used a bandana on Friday to go to the grocery store, so that seems to be working out good enough as well. Bacon covered glasses dipped in chocolate and filled with whiskey are a thing. So you can actually eat the whole thing. It's not made of glass. They're not glass. It's a bacon shot glass filled with, covered in chocolate and filled with whiskey. You can just eat the whole thing or drink it and then eat it. That's a thing. Bacon and chocolate is good. Not a big whiskey fan, but hey, I guess they could all mix pretty good together. Dwarf Planet Ceres is getting wrinkled as it shrinks. I didn't know a dwarf planet could shrink, but it is shrinking and it is getting wrinkled on the surface, which is kind of odd. Corona Zombies, the first film made about this disease, has quick come out and is, what's typical B-movie sci-fi type film, and it's what you expect. But it's called Corona Zombies, and they can say we are the first one to come out during this whole coronavirus issue. Monkey finds a baby kitten and cuddles it like its own. Monkey was also spotted on video flying a kite. It wasn't a fake video or whatever like that. Someone actually videotaped in India, I believe, of a monkey flying a kite. As I keep telling you, these animals are evolving quickly and things are changing before we know it. So that's absolutely crazy. 5-year-olds give away Easter baskets to 200 kids whose parents were laid off. That's kind of a sweet thing to do. Helped out. Easter was last week, but a pretty good Easter, I think. We did an episode of Dylan Knows, actually 2 episodes, because I had the bandwidth issues. So we already talked about Easter, but we did premiere my daughter's movie, and it's gotten about 82 views already, and very proud of her about it. So very good on that. Mushrooms that glow in the dark are now a thing also. So there's probably things where you can walk in an ethereal wood and see glowing mushrooms. And I think that's kind of cool. I'd love to see that around here, but ain't going to happen. Zebra gives birth to a half zebra, half donkey after it mates with a donkey. So now you have what do they call it? A zonkey. Is that what it was? A zonkey? Probably. Woman totals car after seeing a spider in it. When you have a big fear like that and you're not paying attention, you're focused more on, hoping that the spider doesn't get you, that's going to cause issues. This is surprising. An ozone hole 3 times the size of Greenland has opened up over the North Pole. I don't understand why, because we've been doing our best, unless these new things that the stupid ass government has been putting into place has been causing stuff like that to happen. I think they're saying it was just a real quick and that it's going back to normal, but it was just kind of weird that the ozone layer is starting to be weakened again, which is disconcerting considering everything that's going on about that. A cave and a 14th century medieval shrine have been discovered near the Hill of Dragons, I guess somewhere in Europe. And the final story of the day, wow, and I did it without having any issues with my bandwidth. The elusive Amazon monkey, an elusive Amazon monkey, has been spotted and photographed for the first time in a century. So again, there are some good aspects of stuff that's coming up with this COVID-19 stuff. We're still quarantined, as I said. I haven't heard from my job, so I'm not expecting to go back anytime soon because we're still under strict rules here in Maryland. Our deaths are going up, as are the cases, but hopefully we'll hit that pinnacle soon, and then they'll go downhill, and we can start getting back to some sort of normalcy. But I've got at least about another 43 days or so before I have to start worrying about what's going to happen. So we'll see what's going on about that. But things are going pretty good, doing okay. And hey, just like that, I did an episode without having to split up because the bandwidth wasn't an issue. So thanks. Maybe things are changing and maybe I want to deal with it, but we'll keep that in our back pocket. But I'm glad I got it into one episode, and I'm glad for you guys to watch it. Thank you very much. Now you don't have to watch 2 episodes like you did the last 2 weeks. You can just watch this one for the 5 minutes that you usually do anyway. But hey, check it out. There's some good stuff in here. It's one of my longer ones in a while, so we'll see what happens. So next week, we will be discussing the virtual camporee, which is something that my kids are going to be involved with and might cause some issues on this end because the scouts might be needing the use of this computer. So we'll figure out something. So we'll get an episode in sometime this weekend, but I'll talk to you more about the virtual camporee that is coming your way next weekend. And also, as I said, Pokemon Go Community Day is coming out next weekend as well. Hey, if you're a Pokemon Go fan, starting tomorrow, go out there. The Incense Day, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Go to, if you have some Pokecoins, buy the 3 incenses for 1 Pokecoin, rebuild your stuff, catch some cool things, maybe get some shinies. All right, enjoy the rest of your night. It's not that long, 20 minutes now before it's Sunday. And be safe and be healthy, and don't do anything stupid, like watch this show. Just kidding. Watch this show.